because there's a big fight this Saturday in Oakland, California. It's the Super Six again. Now, I'm one of the biggest fans of this tournament. I think it's a stunning tournament. 6 great fighters, 6 great fights, constantly 6 great fighters in constant great fights. Let's think about them so far. Mikkel Kessler against Carl Froch over in Denmark recently. That was brilliant. Andre Ward in his hometown. Sounded like there was about 50,000 people inside the arena, beating Mikkel Kessler. That was a shock. Arthur Abraham against Andre Dirrell in America. Abraham unbeaten, getting disqualified in frustration when he struck Dirrell. Even Carl Froch against Dirrell. It was a stinking fight, but the atmosphere, the tension, palpable. You could feel it. It was brilliant. Now, there's also a list of promoters associated with this Super 6 tournament. Lou DiBella, the New Yorker who likes to spit fire. Cali Sauerland, super suave Cali Sauerland. Mick Hennessy, he drives a hard bargain and stays at the table. Last man standing he is. Then there's Gary Shaw, he's a bit miserable, but he gets his thing done. And then there is another one, a truly legendary promoter and an old friend of mine. I've sat with this man by swimming pools in Pueblo, Mexico. I've filmed him and interviewed him in various suites and at ringside in most Las Vegas hotels over the last 10 or 12 or 15 years. I haven't seen him for a long time, though. This is the man who has guided, shaped and delivered Andre Ward, SOG, the son of God as he's known, to the Super 6. And you know what? He's always got a little twinkle in his eye. It's a pleasure to welcome to the show Big Dan Goossen. How are you, Dan?
Well, Steve, I'm going to tell you right now, it has been a long time, but when I kick the bucket, I want you doing my obituary.
Listen, Dan, it's not going to happen for a long time. I know that you're too healthy. But if it ever...
as long as we win Saturday night, I agree with you.
Dan, listen, first of all, before we talk about the specifics of Saturday night, this tournament, Dan, I know that you're one of the major shapers for it. Is it turning out to be as good as you thought or even better, Dan?
Well, we had one objective. I'm not a big fan of tournaments as a promoter because, you give up all control in essence and in this case, you know who you're going to fight, and there's no switching it come hell or high water.
Sure.
So, those are variables a promoter doesn't really like to not retain.
Control, yeah.
But I felt it was important for Andre to be in it from the standpoint of one main reason and one only, is that if we could have Mikkel Kessler right out of the box, and he had to come to Oakland to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It got us to the World Championship without giving up options, got us to the World Championship by bringing the champion over to us rather than the other way around, and it set the stage for what I believe is what's going to be a future pay-per-view star in Andre Ward. So I needed to get all these other fighters in there that I would normally not be able to get, whether it was Abraham, whether it was Froch, or whether it was Kessler. Those were the key ones I needed to get inside the ring. So once they were on board, I was ready to roll, but I wanted to make sure Andre had at least the home cooking.
Yeah, and of course, it's a very interesting point what you're making there, is that one of the upsides of it is that you don't have to surrender anything. So you've gone on, you win a world title, you've not had to fight overseas for it, you've managed to get that here because of the way negotiations work, you've not had to surrender, and that's something that too many people, too many critics of this, too many other promoters, if you don't mind me saying so, Dan, are missing. That, that you're free agents, aren't you? You're winning and losing, let's hope, obviously for your sake, you keep winning, but you're winning and losing titles, and you're not committed to anybody else, and that's got to be good for boxing in the long run, hasn't it, Dan?
Yeah. I mean, that was, like I said, one of the keys, Steve, is that I didn't have to sign 3 options with Sauerland or wait for a mandatory, and during the mandatory I only get 20 or 25%.
Rubbish.
And then would have to go to someone else's home country. So those were all the reasons I did it. But I felt almost as importantly that with success in it, and you've got to believe that your fighter is good enough to be the last man standing.
Yeah.
That with the success, then you've built yourself a star, because of your enthusiasm on it. You know,
Sure.
if you're a boxing fan or media representative, you sit back and you say, this tournament, it couldn't shape out any better. Everyone's winning, everyone's losing,
Yeah.
and you know, guys that were favorites aren't favorites now. So you know, it's one tough fight after another without looking for that easy fight. So the key here now is Andre to win Saturday night. He wins Saturday night, I don't believe there's going to be any stopping him.
Yeah, he wins Saturday night, and then he's automatically going to end up going through as far as I can work out from the logistics of it. Was there ever a point, though, Dan, when you were sitting there? And I take on board everything you're saying about options, but with Andre Ward, son of God, all of that, you know, the great nickname, personable kid, all-American boy, Olympic medalist. I mean, surely there must have been some other options and ideas out there, whether it was a fight with Hopkins or a fight with Chad Dawson or something like that. Were there things out there? Because let's get it right, Dan. This tournament does take you out of the loop for 2 and a bit years.
Yeah, you're 100% right again, Steve. You know, of course there were other options. We were number 1 in the world at the time that we acquiesced and did this.
Sure.
But when you put everything together on it, and one of the problems with the tournament format like this is what happened with Jermaine Taylor, because one of the things that we signed on for was to fight Jermaine next, which was a fight I was trying to make for the last year and a half.
Sure.
You know, so you know when the bracket when I got the bracket done with Jermaine as our second opponent, it was working out exactly where I wanted it to. So, you know, with him pulling out, it certainly put a little wrench into the plan, but that's where Andre comes in and has to take care of business, and she's been very, very good doing it. But, you know, with the other options, there were options there, but, you know, you got to remember, you know, it's so tough to make fights with other promoters. They don't want to lose to your guy, and they want to keep it under their own roof, so you're better off blazing your own path, take yourself out of the market for a 2-year period, but building yourself up so that by the time this is all said and done, the only star out there, even outside the tournament, is Andre Ward, because at that point, everyone needs to come to you. Yeah,
and that's obviously what all 5 or 6 of you have been thinking and planning. Let me ask you this, Dan. Were you surprised that Mikhail Kessler, who Andre Ward handled so well, were you surprised that he managed to beat Carl, even though it was a terrific fight and great for the Super 6? Were you a bit shocked by that?
No. I mean, I kind of picked Mikhail to win the fight, mainly because he was back at home. You know, there's something about losing that makes you better sometimes. Yeah, and,
last chance saloon, they call it, Dan.
Yeah, you get complacent sometimes as champ, and you just think it. You know, if you work fairly hard, you're going to become champ, and you know, you lose contact of things. You know, this is one of the things I love about Andre Ward, and he said at the press conference yesterday. You know. He's worked harder on this fight than he worked on his championship fight against Kessler.
Wow!
And that's the attitude you have to have. You got to be out there realizing that the target's on you. Okay, when you're champ or a gold medalist, that target's right on your back.
Right on your back, yeah.
And and people get ready for you, so you better be ready for that. One of the things that we try to do with Andre Ward after we signed him out of the Olympics is that we got him what was considered very tough fights for an Olympian who he could usually just give any type of fight, let him knock him out, bam, and it's all over, and you build up this record to 20-0. Well, we believe that that wasn't the way to go with Andre. We needed to give him tough competition so that if he got knocked down, it was when it was in the early stages of a career, so that he could understand that you can get knocked down. And you can get back up, and you got to correct those mistakes when you do get knocked down or you get hit with a good combination or this or that. So we really believe that the beginning stages of his career prepared him for this. So Kessler having 40+ fights and Andre only having 20 at the time didn't matter. Okay, because Andre was ready. He was ready mentally to go out there and take care of business.
Yeah, listen,
mentally and physically.
Yeah, not wrong, and he was that. Now, just quickly before I let you go, now also Andre's had his first fight in America, home. He's got his next fight in America, and his third and final fight is in America. Has the deal already been done where the semi-finals will take place? Do you know, or is it to be done?
Yeah, well, they're supposed to be in America.
Okay.
But nothing's done yet until we see who the finalists are. But this was a very important factor for us to be in this tournament. Mm-hmm. We had the gold medalist. I had the #1 fighter in the world. If the money didn't make sense, if the fights didn't make sense, if the locations didn't make sense, we weren't interested.
Yeah, and listen, Dan, you're absolutely sensible. Dan Goossen, what a pleasure to have you on the show. And we'll speak to you very soon. Good luck the weekend. Give my regards to SOG. And no doubt I'll be speaking to you soon, Dan. Dan Goossen, thanks very much.